This is our past, gentlemen. This is where we have been. This is how we got here. This is who we are today.
You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
It's not about that scoreboard out there. It's not about winning. It's about you and your relationship to yourself and your family and your friends.
They're strong, fast, and undefeated. So far. But I want you to remember where God has brought us. I want you to remember how hard you've worked. We weren't supposed to have a winning season, but we do. We weren't supposed to advance through the playoffs, but we did. We're not supposed to be here, but we are. So if there's anything in you that says this is a losing effort, throw it out. Because as I stand here, I believe that as long as we honor God, nothing is impossible.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me today for another program from Diggin, Deeper Ministries. While we are a Christian ministry, we are also sports fans who enjoy the competition of many leagues, including the National Football League. We will never forget our roots as a Christian ministry. But that does not mean we cannot explore other interests as well. God never said to avoid other interests. He is clear, however, that these interests must never take priority over him. With that in mind, I am your host, Brian Parsons, for Diggin, Deeper into the NFL. On today's program, we'll go diggin' deeper into Week 9 of the 2025 NFL season, kicking off Thursday, October 30th, with the Baltimore Ravens traveling to South Beach to take on the Miami Dolphins. In a big-picture Thursday Night Football statement, the Baltimore Ravens look like a completely different team in Week 9, downing the Miami Dolphins 28-6 at Hard Rock Stadium. It wasn't just a win, it was a return to form, powered by Lamar Jackson's comeback and a swarming defense. Jackson, back in the lineup after missing several games with a hamstring injury, went 18 of 23 for 204 yards and 4 touchdowns, showing sharp rhythm and leadership. He spread the ball around well. Tight end Mark Andrews hauled in 2 scores, 2 yards and 20 yards, and Charlie Kolar and Rashad Bateman added third-quarter and fourth-quarter TDs, respectively. On the ground, Derrick Henry churned out 119 rushing yards on 19 carries, giving Baltimore a consistent run game to ride. The Ravens' offense really turned it on after halftime, to the tune of 2 straight touchdowns, turning their second-half dominance into a cushion they never relinquished. Defensively, Baltimore was just as impressive. They forced 3 turnovers, including a crucial fumble early on, and locked down Miami's offense throughout the night. Veteran corner Marlon Humphrey came up big with a forced fumble, and the pass rush kept pressure on Tua Tagovailoa, limiting the Dolphins to just a pair of field goals. Miami's offense never quite got untracked. While Tagovailoa completed 25 of 40 passes for 261 yards, but couldn't convert enough looks into points, on the ground, Devon Achane managed 67 yards. But otherwise the Dolphins struggled to sustain drives against a Ravens defense that refused to bend. The game shifted in Baltimore's favor in the third quarter when Jackson found Kolar for a 3-yard TD, then followed it with a 9-yard strike to Bateman. After that, the Ravens leaned on their lead and tightened up on defense to close out a dominant performance. For Baltimore, this win is a major boost. Not only did they get Jackson back, but they showed they can still operate at a high level while integrating him. For Miami, the loss raises serious questions about consistency on offense and their ability to make big plays when it matters most. With the Week 9 victory over Miami, the Ravens are continuing to build momentum for a serious playoff push, showing the type of balanced, explosive football that makes them a threat in the postseason. In contrast, the Dolphins continue to demonstrate they are not yet a playoff-caliber team, with inconsistency and a lack of execution raising questions about the program's direction. The struggles on offense and defense under head coach Mike McDaniel have some observers wondering how much longer Jeffrey Ross and the front office will remain patient, as McDaniel has yet to establish the level of sustained success and consistency expected from a team with a roster of high-end talent. Baltimore controlled time of possession, 31 minutes and 43 seconds to 28 minutes and 17 seconds, and total yards were nearly identical, Baltimore with 338, and Miami with 332. So why did the scoreboard have such a disparity? The Dolphins fumbled in very dangerous spots. For example, TAYJ Washington fumbled early, and Baltimore recovered deep in Miami territory. These turnovers gave the Ravens short fields, which they capitalized on. Miami also had costly penalties. A false start on a 4th and 1 stalled a drive and forced a field goal attempt instead. But the field goal of 35 yards was missed by Riley Patterson, as we do in all of our PGO Rams. Whether with the NFL or a Christian program, we go diggin', deeper than summarize it, and the Dolphins lost because they couldn't finish drives, made too many mistakes, and gave the Ravens too many easy opportunities. Meanwhile, Baltimore made the most of their chances, particularly after Jackson came back and closed the game out in the second half. The 49ers literally travel east to East Rutherford, New York, to take on the New York Giants. In a statement-making performance Sunday, the San Francisco 49ers tightened their grip on the NFC picture with a 34-24 road victory over the New York Giants in Week 9, driven by dominant time of possession, balanced offense, and clutch plays on both sides of the ball. From the opening whistle, the 49ers controlled the pace, holding the ball for 33 minutes and 11 seconds compared to the Giants, 26 minutes and 49 seconds. Their efficiency on 3rd and 4th downs, converting 7 of 12, kept drives alive and wore down the Giants' defense. San Francisco amassed 380 total yards on 65 plays, averaging 5.8 yards per play, with Mac Jones completing 19 of 24 passes for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Christian McCaffrey racked up 106 rushing yards and 67 receiving yards for 173 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Key moments included a successful 4th down conversion on the opening drive, McCaffrey's 39-yard catch-and-run touchdown, and Mac Jones' near-perfect first half, going 14 of 14 passing. The 49ers' defense also made crucial plays, recording multiple sacks and keeping the Giants from capitalizing on opportunities. On the other side, Giants quarterback Jackson Dart showed flashes of potential, throwing for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns, while adding a rushing touchdown. But New York struggled to sustain drives against San Francisco's methodical, clock-controlling offense. With this win, the 49ers improved to 6-3, reinforcing their status as NFC contenders, while the Giants fell to 2-7, facing an uphill battle to regain consistency on both sides of the ball. This game was significant for both teams, but for very different reasons. For the 49ers, the victory reinforced their identity as a disciplined, well-rounded team, capable of controlling games through time of possession and balanced offensive execution. Winning on the road against a divisional opponent like the Giants not only boosted their confidence, but also strengthened their position in the NFC playoff race, proving that they can win even when key players, such as Brock Purdy, are unavailable. The performance showcased their depth, with Mac Jones stepping in seamlessly at quarterback and Christian McCaffrey continuing to dominate as a dual-threat weapon, signaling that San Francisco has the tools to sustain success deep into the season. For the Giants, the loss highlighted the challenges they face in turning their season around, and at this point, this seems like a giant task, no pun intended. Despite flashes from rookie quarterback Jackson Dart, New York struggled to maintain drives and capitalize on opportunities, such as the missed field goal before halftime. The game emphasized the gap between their current performance and the consistency required to compete with playoff-caliber teams. Essentially, it underscored that while they have talent and potential, they need better execution on offense and more disruptive plays on defense to remain competitive in the NFC. In short, the game meant affirmation and momentum for the 49ers, while serving as a reality check for the Giants. Sure, it's easy to say the 49ers were expected to win this game. It's the Giants, right? But too often, such a game is lost due to underestimating your opponent and looking toward another week. Each game is important, and you must take care of business, and the 49ers did that. Further, the game was a microcosm of each team's trajectory, one ascending, one still searching for stability. The 49ers won because they played smart, complementary football, great run game, efficient passing, solid defense, and reliable special teams. Meanwhile, the Giants made too many mistakes and couldn't stop San Francisco's balanced attack. The Chicago Bears traveled to Cincinnati to play the Bengals, who were in search of a win, but also some defensive stops. At the last whistle, the Chicago Bears defeated the Cincinnati Bengals in a high-scoring showdown, 47-42. The Bears controlled the clock, holding possession for 34 minutes and 30 seconds compared to the Bengals, 25 minutes and 30 seconds. Chicago racked up a total of 576 yards, with 293 passing and 283 rushing, while Cincinnati gained 495 yards, dominated by the passing game, with 449 yards through the air and just 46 on the ground. The quarterback matchup featured Caleb Williams for the Bears, who completed 20 of 34 passes for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Joe Flacco led the Bengals with 31 completions on 47 attempts for 470 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The Bears' balanced offensive attack helped them sustain drives, while Cincinnati relied heavily on Flacco's arm to move the ball quickly downfield, making for a thrilling, closely contested game. The win boosts Chicago's playoff chances by improving their record and strengthening their position in the competitive NFC, where every win matters for divisional standings and potential wildcard spots. Beyond the standings, the victory provides a major confidence boost, showing the Bears can win high-scoring, high-pressure games on the road against a strong opponent. Individually, quarterback Caleb Williams and the team's offensive weapons demonstrated they can carry the team in critical situations, which can enhance morale and media recognition. While the Bengals remain in the playoff hunt in the AFC, the loss highlights areas they need to address to maintain seeding, making this game a pivotal moment for both teams' seasons. At this point in the season, 2 months in, the Bears look like a far better team than they were last season as Ben Johnson has turned around the franchise. But can they make the playoffs? This is a question that remains to be answered, and the Bengals, without Joe Burrow and a bottom-tier defense, the season resembles when a Bengals cat is put down, a tragedy. In a gritty NFC North showdown, the Minnesota Vikings pulled off an upset on the road, defeating the Detroit Lions 27-24. The Vikings came into the game with a lot on the line, and with J.J. McCarthy returning at quarterback after injury, they found just what they needed. McCarthy was efficient, completing 14 of 25 passes for 143 yards, throwing 2 touchdowns, and rushing for another score. McCarthy also threw for an interception. Minnesota's offense leaned on its ground game to keep things balanced, with Aaron Jones churning out 78 rushing yards on 9 carries. Meanwhile, the Vikings defense rose to the occasion, generating pressure throughout the day. They sacked Jared Goff 5 times, forced a fumble, and limited Detroit to just 65 rushing yards. Time of possession was relatively even, with Detroit holding the ball for 31 minutes and 08 seconds, to Minnesota's 28 minutes and 52 seconds. The Lions picked up 305 total yards, while the Vikings managed 258. On the quarterback front, Goff threw for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns on 25 of 37 attempts. Key moments swung in Minnesota's favor included a blocked field goal late by Levi Drake Rodriguez, followed by a return that set up a go-ahead field goal, and a forced fumble at a critical point in the game. Special teams also made a mark, though a potential 99-yard kickoff return was nullified by a holding penalty. This win not only brought the Vikings back to 4-4, but also injected some much-needed momentum into a tough NFC race, where they can't afford many mistakes. Digging deeper into the numbers and the game itself, it's still difficult to picture this team making the playoffs given their schedule and McCarthy's inconsistent play. Still, the game showed that with McCarthy, the Vikings are capable of beating almost anyone. Moving forward, though, he needs to be more reliable, and the defense must continue performing at a high level. Carolina headed to Green Bay to face the Packers, and if this were a game of cat and mouse, Carolina's Panther would have gotten away with the cheese. In a tightly contested matchup at Lambeau Field, Carolina pulled off a gutty 16-13 victory, capped by a dramatic 49-yard field goal as time expired. The Packers had several opportunities to take the lead, but struggled in the red zone, converting just 1 of 5 chances. Carolina leaned on their ground game, with Rico Dowdle rushing 25 times for 130 yards and scoring both Panthers touchdowns, while quarterback Bryce Young, returning from a recent ankle issue, went 11 of 20 for 102 yards with 1 interception. On the Packers side, Jordan Love threw for 273 yards on 26 of 37 passing, but couldn't convert yardage into enough points. Time of possession was nearly even, with Green Bay holding the ball for 30 minutes and 10 seconds to Carolina's 29 minutes and 50 seconds. And while the Packers outgained the Panthers 369 to 265 yards, Carolina's opportunistic play and clutch kicking made the difference, securing a hard-fought road win. This win is a big one for Carolina, not just because it's on the road, but because it shows they can stay composed under pressure. For Green Bay, the loss is a reminder that yardage doesn't always translate to points, and red zone efficiency will need to improve if they want to capitalize on their offensive potential. While the Panthers will likely find it difficult to make the playoffs this season, the Packers may find themselves on the outside looking in if this type of play continues. Carolina has shown noticeable improvement, proving they can stay composed in tight, high-pressure situations. But for Green Bay, this was exactly the type of game they needed to win. Falling short at home highlights the challenges the Packers face in converting yardage and opportunities into points, and if they can't clean up mistakes and capitalize in the red zone, their playoff hopes could be in serious jeopardy. While the Panthers are greatly improved year over year, a team like the Packers, who have serious playoff implications, must defeat such a team. With each win that Carolina piles up, their season becomes a greater success. But the Packers, on the other hand, each defeat, regardless how small, puts a brighter spotlight on young quarterback Jordan Love and head coach Matt LaFleur. Fair or not, this is the nature of professional sports, particularly the NFL. Denver traveled to Houston in a tense, defense-driven showdown and came away with a gritty 18-15 comeback win over the Texans. The Broncos' offense was far from clean, but they kept grinding. With under a minute left in the game, Bo Nix scrambled for a 25-yard run, setting up Will Lutz to hit a 34-yard field goal as time expired. Houston's starting quarterback C.J. Stroud exited early after suffering a concussion, forcing Davis Mills into action. The Texans leaned on their reliable kicker, Ka'imi Fairbairn, who made 5 field goals to account for all of Houston's points. Meanwhile, Denver's Bo Nix threw for 173 yards with 2 touchdowns, along with that crucial late scramble. Time of possession tilted in Houston's favor, 34 minutes and 36 seconds to the 25 minutes and 24 seconds. But the Broncos' defense made the critical stops late, especially when it counted the most. Denver's comeback streak now stands at 6 games, and this one highlighted their ability to win in ugly, low-error fashion. The Broncos totaled 271 yards to Houston's 268, both teams recording 15 first downs. But on third down, Denver was 6 of 15, but Houston was only 3 of 17. Both teams did not do well in the red zone. Denver only had 1 opportunity in the red zone, not putting up any points, and Houston had 3 but also scored no points. For the Texans, the loss is a tough one. They moved the ball decently but couldn't punch it in when in the red zone, and Stroud's injury looms as a big concern. What's fun to highlight is Denver's ability to keep winning close games this season, which stems from a mix of clutch execution, defensive resilience, and smart situational play. Bo Nix has shown remarkable composure in late-game situations, such as his scramble to set up the game-winning field goal against the Texans. The team also benefited from a reliable kicking game, with Will Lutz consistently converting pressure-filled opportunities into points. Defensively, Denver may allow yardage over the course of a game, but they tighten up in critical moments, especially in the red zone and on third downs, often limiting opponents to field goals instead of touchdowns. Coupled with a balanced game plan that manages the clock and keeps the offense and defense in rhythm, and the growing confidence from previous close wins, the Broncos have developed the mental toughness to pull out victories even in messy, tightly contested matchups. But the question has to be asked: how much longer can the Broncos continue to test fate? How much longer can they fall behind, stay trailing for most of the game, and still pull off a remarkable comeback win? Eventually, common wisdom dictates that this kind of flirtation with danger catches up to even the most resilient teams. While Denver's clutch plays, defensive stops, and late-game composure have carried them through tight contests so far, relying on last-minute heroics week after week is a precarious strategy, one that may eventually be undone by a single misstep or missed opportunity. The Atlanta Falcons took a long journey to Massachusetts to play the New England Patriots. In a dramatic finish at Gillette Stadium, the New England Patriots edged out the Atlanta Falcons 24-23 to extend their win streak to 6 games. Young star quarterback Drake May delivered a clutch performance, going 19 of 29 for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns, though he also had an interception and was strip-sacked before halftime. Running back Terrell Jennings punched in his first career rushing touchdown, helping wideout Demario Douglas made a big play with a 58-yard touchdown catch, reminding fans of his deep threat capability. For Atlanta, Michael Penix Jr. was sharp, completing 22 of 37 passes, throwing for 221 yards and 3 touchdowns, all 3 to Drake London, who hauled in 118 yards, who made a spectacular one-handed grab in the fourth. Time of possession favored New England, as they controlled the clock 34 minutes and 5 seconds to Atlanta's 25 minutes and 55 seconds. But disaster struck late. After London's go-ahead touchdown, kicker Parker Romo pushed the extra point wide right, leaving Atlanta 1 point short. In the final minutes, a controversial intentional grounding penalty. After an early snap allegedly caused by the Patriots, defenders simulating a snap count derailed their final chance. On the ensuing drive, May found Hunter Henry for a crucial 17-yard third down conversion that allowed New England to run out the clock. This win underscores the Patriots' resilience and ability to make big plays when it matters, while the Falcons' collapse highlights how precious and fleeting opportunities can be. For New England, improving to 7-2. The victory reaffirms their status as a serious contender. For Atlanta, now 3-5. The narrow loss stings, and the missed kicks and late-game miscues may prove costly in the long run. 9 weeks into the season, it looks like the Patriots are nearly rebuilt, perhaps completely, as they seem to be a complete team. But the Falcons, while talented, still have a long way to go. Indiana Jones and the Indianapolis Colts journey to Pittsburgh to face Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in a pivotal Week 9 showdown, but their up-tempo offense was derailed by a relentless Pittsburgh defense in a 27-20 loss. Despite outgaining the Steelers, the Colts gave the ball away 6 times, with quarterback Daniel Jones coughing up 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Mistakes that Pittsburgh turned into 24 points. This was the type of game so many have been expecting from Daniel Jones, as his career has been anything but consistent. While he showed flashes of brilliance, completing 31 of 50 attempts for 342 passing yards, with both a passing and rushing touchdown, Jones threw 3 interceptions, which reminded people of the Joneses from New York. Unfortunately, the mistakes that have plagued him throughout his career re-emerged at critical moments. 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles turned promising drives into scoring opportunities for the Steelers, underscoring the ongoing struggle with turnovers that has kept Jones from being a fully reliable starter. His talent and arm strength were on display, but this game highlighted both his potential and the frustrating inconsistency that continues to define his career. Fair or not, this is why so many so-called experts and fans doubt the authenticity of the 2025 Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Jones was held to 45 yards rushing, and Josh Downs caught 6 passes for 57 yards, and the lone passing touchdown for Jones. The time of possession was relatively close, with the Colts owning the ball for 31 minutes and 55 seconds versus 28 minutes and 05 seconds for Pittsburgh. But those prized possessions were often squandered. The Steelers' defense pressured Jones all afternoon, 5 sacks, forced turnovers, and made the big plays when they had to. Jones found both Michael Pittman Jr., who hauled in 9 catches for 115 yards, and Alec Pierce 6 times for 115 yards. Yet despite that production, the Colts managed only 20 points, tied for their lowest output of the season. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers looked efficient for the Steelers, completing 25 of 35 passes for 203 yards and a touchdown, helping Pittsburgh capitalize on the Colts' mistakes. Running back Jaylen Warren ground out 2 low-margin touchdowns, grinding the clock and putting the game out of reach. Clearly the difference was turnover margin and a dominant defensive performance by Pittsburgh. Linebacker Alex Highsmith was especially disruptive, logging multiple sacks and forcing a fumble. The Steelers' ball-hawking defense gave their offense short fields, and they converted those opportunities, proving once again that a turnover-driven defense can win games even when the offense isn't explosive. For the Colts, this loss is a harsh reminder that even the most efficient offense can be undone by sloppy play and turnovers. Losing on the road in Pittsburgh, a notoriously tough place to win, also underscores the challenge they face if they want to maintain their AFC contender status. For the Steelers, the victory is validation. Their defense still defines them, and in big games, they can rise to the occasion and swing momentum. The Steelers walked away at 5-3 with momentum, confidence, and a critical tiebreaker victory, while the Colts left 7-2. They are in control of the AFC South, but in regards of how people perceive them, they left facing a steeper climb and shrinking margin for error in the race for positioning in the AFC playoff picture. While the Steelers are a hard-nosed team, they do not appear to have enough to actually go deep in the playoffs, and with the Ravens surging, as it would seem, many believe the Ravens will eventually catch the Steelers to win the division. What this means for both teams, and NFL fans, is the finish of the season will be dramatic and fun. The Chargers arrived in Nashville to take on the sinking Tennessee Titans, and left Music City with a 27-20 victory over the Titans, carried clear playoff implications for the Chargers. For the Titans, their season sprung a leak a while ago, and it feels it's completely underwater. The game highlighted the gap between a contender and a team still searching for direction. Los Angeles dominated the flow of the game, holding the ball for 34 minutes and 20 seconds, compared to Tennessee's 25 minutes and 40 seconds, and outgaining the Titans 343-206 in total yardage. Their balance on offense, paired with a defense that consistently got off the field, allowed the Chargers to take control despite an early pick-6 and a punt return touchdown by Tennessee. With the win, the Chargers improved to 6-3 and strengthened their position in the AFC playoff race, gaining not just a valuable conference victory, but also reinforcing the idea that they can win on the road and dictate tempo when their offense and defense are in sync. For the Titans, the loss was another major blow in a season that continues to spiral as they fell to 1-8 and saw their postseason hopes all but eliminated. Limited to only 206 total yards on 44 plays and unable to sustain drives, the Titans simply couldn't match the Chargers' efficiency, leaving them in a position where the remainder of the season becomes more about development and evaluation than playoff positioning. The Titans, meanwhile, had flashes of life, including a defensive touchdown and a special teams gem, but ultimately couldn't sustain momentum when it mattered most. The tone was set early. Tennessee opened the scoring when linebacker Cody Barton intercepted Chargers' Justin Herbert and returned it 24 yards for a touchdown. Later in the quarter, rookie returner Chimere Dike electrified the home crowd with a 67-yard punt return touchdown, his second straight week making major plays on special teams. Despite the early spark, the Chargers settled in. Their defense stood tall, especially on third down, holding the Titans to a stunning 1 of 9 conversion rate on third down attempts. Tennessee nearly turned the tide when facing 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. But the Chargers' defense stuffed the run and followed with a goal line stand to preserve their lead. Capitalizing on that defensive stop, Los Angeles offensive put together a 15-play, 99-yard touchdown drive, featuring key plays by Herbert and his receivers, including Quentin Johnston's 23-yard strike. Herbert capped it off himself with a 1-yard touchdown run, sliding into the end zone to extend the Chargers' lead to 27-17 early in the fourth quarter. Los Angeles Chargers. Tennessee's offense, meanwhile, never found 2 consistent gears. They committed penalties, failed to finish drives, and couldn't overcome the Chargers' momentum shift. Quarterback-wise, it was a clear contrast. Justin Herbert was the engine for the Chargers, completing 19 of 29 passes for 250 yards, tossing 2 touchdowns, an interception, and adding a 1-yard rushing TD to cap a huge 99-yard drive. On the flip side, Cam Ward, filling in for Tennessee, went 12 of 21 for 145 yards. Despite flashes from the Titans' defense and special teams, including a punt return touchdown, Ward and the offense couldn't sustain enough drives, while Herbert's balanced attack and timely execution made the difference. While the Titans have been competitive in a few games, they are missing key pieces on both offensive and defensive sides of the ball. The Jacksonville Jaguars traveled to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders in a very interesting and competitive matchup. Up to this point, while many had high expectations for the Raiders coming into the season, these expectations have been met with frustration, heartache, and heartbreak. The Jaguars have also given their fan base a lot of frustration as the team has yet to put together a consistent stretch of games. While they have played well at times, they have been unable to put away a few games, and this is one reason why they were 4-3 coming into the game. At the final whistle, the Jaguars edged out the Las Vegas Raiders 30-29 in a wild overtime thriller at Allegiant Stadium. Trevor Lawrence, despite being ill, was the hero. He pushed through and capped the game with a 1-yard sneak-in overtime to give the Jaguars the lead. Davon Hamilton made the game-winning defensive play by batting away Geno Smith's 2-point conversion attempt with just 16 seconds left, preserving Jacksonville's victory. For the quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence and Geno Smith put on very different but compelling performances in a wild Jaguars-Raiders game that went to overtime. Lawrence, battling illness, completed 23 of 34 passes for 220 yards, threw 1 interception, and didn't throw a touchdown. But he made his biggest impact with his legs, carrying the ball 9 times for 24 yards and scoring 2 rushing touchdowns, including a dramatic 1-yard run in OT to win it. Geno Smith, meanwhile, was much more explosive through the air. He went 29 of 39, threw for 284 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. His favorite target was tight end Brock Bowers, who caught 12 passes for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. Raiders. Ashton Jeanty caught 5 passes for 47 yards and a touchdown. The Jaguars outgained the Raiders with 367 total net yards to 331. The Jaguars also dominated time of possession, holding the ball for 42 minutes and 57 seconds, while the Raiders had it for just 26 minutes and 47 seconds. Both teams did well in the red zone, Jacksonville scoring points in 3 of 5 of their opportunities, and the Raiders scoring points in 3 of their 4 opportunities. A big highlight: Cam Little broke the NFL record with a 68-yard field goal just before halftime. He also nailed a 48-yarder near the end of the fourth to send the game into overtime. Seriously, Not enough attention is paid to special teams. Week in and week out, there is some play that changes the game from special teams, whether it's a long field goal, a perfectly placed punt, or a big return. Or the exact opposite, a missed field goal, a shanked punt, or a fumble on the return. This illustrates special teams are not appreciated until the units are average or worse. Diggin. Deeper into the game, Travis Etienne contributed on the ground, and Bashal Tutin scored a 1-yard rushing TD in the fourth to give the Jags another lead. For the Raiders, Brock Bowers had a monster game, catching 12 passes for 127 yards and 3 touchdowns. Geno Smith threw for 284 yards and 4 total scores. But their missed extra point on the first half and the failed 2-PT conversion in OT came back to haunt them. Defensively, the Jaguars also pressured the Raiders well. Josh Hines-Allen registered 1.5 sacks, tying the franchise's career sack record. Despite the Raiders' winnings in yards and passing stats, the Jaguars won the crucial plays, controlled the clock, and executed when it mattered most. A classic example of how football games are decided by timing and execution, not just cumulative stats. This win snapped a 2-game losing streak for the Jaguars and brought them to 5-3, improving their playoff outlook. The Buffalo Bills stayed home to host their kryptonites, especially in the playoffs, the Kansas City Chiefs. And this game did not disappoint. Probably the most talked about and anticipated game of the weekend featured the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. This was a typical Bills-Chiefs game, as the Bills held off a late Kansas City rally to beat the Chiefs 28-21 at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. Josh Allen was nearly perfect in the passing game, 23 of 26 for 273 yards and a touchdown. And he added 2 short rushing touchdowns to power Buffalo's offense. Tight end Dalton Kincaid caught 6 passes for 101 yards and a score, while running back James Cook grinded out 114 yards on the ground. Behind the scenes, and let's face it, the defense typically takes a back seat to the offense. Buffalo's defense made life miserable for Patrick Mahomes, sacking him 3 times and generating consistent pressure. Mahomes was held to just 44% completion, his lowest mark in a game this season, completing 15 of 34 passes for 250 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. He added another 5 yards on the ground. Second-year safety Cole Bishop stepped up in a big way, recording several key pass breakups and making critical tackles. Kansas City mounted a comeback in the fourth quarter, with Kareem Hunt punching in a 2-yard rushing touchdown and Mahomes connecting with Travis Kelce on a 2-point conversion. Buffalo's offense did just enough to seal the win, but not before the Chiefs were given one last chance when Matt Prater's 52-yard field goal attempt bounced off the upright. For Bills fans, it may have felt like another fairy tale ending for Patrick Mahomes, but this time, it wasn't meant to be. In this game, Buffalo proved it can win with its trademark physical style, controlling the line of scrimmage, running effectively, and converting in the red zone. Meanwhile, Kansas City showed fight, but their offensive line struggled to handle Buffalo's rush, and their third down execution was shaky when it mattered most. The win improves the Bills to 6-2, while the Chiefs fall to 5-4, complicating their playoff picture. Buffalo's win, 28-21, moved them into a stronger position in the wildcard race. More importantly, Buffalo now owns the head-to-head tiebreaker over Kansas City, which could be huge if they meet again in the postseason. Buffalo is in a fight in the AFC East with the New England Patriots, who seem to be getting better each week, and the Chiefs are trying to catch and hold off several teams, including the Chargers, but also the Bills, the Steelers, the Ravens, and so forth. While it does appear to be a tall task for the Chiefs to make the playoffs, continuing 10 consecutive seasons as of their 2024 season clinch, it's also hard to count the team out. If they were to continue the streak, it would probably be their most improbable and impressive playoff appearance. For the Sunday night matchup, the Seahawks swooped into Landover, Maryland, to play the Washington Commanders, and the Commanders saw another lackluster game. They were never able to get going to give commands, as the Seahawks seemed to be able to do anything they desired, as the Seahawks absolutely destroyed the Washington Commanders, flying high to a 38-14 decisive victory. Led by a blistering performance from Sam Darnold, Seattle jumped out to a 31-7 lead by halftime. Darnold was perfect in the first half, 16 of 16 for 282 yards and 4 touchdowns, and finished the game 21 of 24 for 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception, with a passer rating of 141.0. Jackson Smith-Njigba hauled in 8 catches for 129 yards, while Cody White broke loose for a 60-yard touchdown, his only catch, and rookie Torrey Horton caught 2 scores on 4 receptions and 48 yards. Elijah Arroyo caught 2 passes for 29 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, the Seahawks were stingy, limiting Washington to just 290 total yards. And despite the lopsided score, the Commanders held the ball longer, posting a time of possession of 32 minutes and 42 seconds compared to the Seahawks, 27 minutes and 18 seconds, but struggled to sustain drives against Seattle's stingy defense. The Commanders suffered more than just a beatdown. Their quarterback Jaden Daniels left the game in the fourth quarter after dislocating his left elbow on a sack, a major blow for Washington. This loss marked their 4th straight defeat, further derailing their season. For Seattle, this win pushed them to 6-2 and extended their road win streak to 10 in a row, setting a franchise mark in the Mike Macdonald era. Their offense looked balanced and explosive despite missing some key receivers, and the defense continues to hold opponents in check. Overall, the game underscored the Seahawks' rise as a serious force in the NFC, while the Commanders' playoff hopes dim further, especially with a potentially long-term injury to their quarterback. Both of these teams are in different directions, as the Seahawks are soaring high and loud, but the Commanders, while the season was surrounded with a lot of hype after going to the NFC Championship game last season, but time is running out and the lights are going dim. The Arizona Cardinals met up with the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium on Monday Night Football, and in a bit of a surprise, snapped a 5-game losing streak by beating the Dallas Cowboys 27-17 behind Jacoby Brissett, starting for the injured Kyler Murray, who played a clean, efficient game. He completed 21 of 31 passes for 261 yards and 2 touchdowns, with a perfect passer rating of 115.1. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a breakout performance, hauling in 7 catches for 96 yards and a score, while tight end Trey McBride added a red zone touchdown for Arizona. Dallas's Dak Prescott struggled under pressure, being sacked 5 times and finishing 24 of 39 for 250 yards, 1 touchdown, and an interception. Despite generating 333 total yards, the Cowboys couldn't capitalize in the red zone and failed twice on 4th and goal. A special teams burst came when Sam Williams blocked a punt, and Marshawn Kneeland recovered it in the end zone for Dallas, only touchdown of the first half. Arizona's defense also made key plays, converting 3rd downs and shutting down Dallas, and keeping them from sustaining long, meaningful drives. The Cardinals dominated time of possession, holding the ball for 33 minutes and 20 seconds to the Cowboys, 26 minutes and 40 seconds, which helped control the tempo. This win is a morale booster for Arizona. Brissett's steady leadership and Harrison's big game offer a potential direction, while Murray remains out. For Dallas, the loss raises red flags. Their offense moved the ball but made too many costly errors, and their defense continues to struggle in critical moments. Essentially, the game had more impact on morale and momentum than on playoff positioning. Both teams would need significant winning streaks and favorable results elsewhere to make the postseason. And that was Week 9, a Sunday full of edge-of-your-seat finishes, game-deciding kicks, and big swings across the league. 9 of the 13 games came down to 1 possession. That's right, nail-biters all over the maps. The Patriots barely escaped the Falcons when a missed extra point cost Atlanta a chance to tie it. The Panthers pulled off a 16-13 upset over the Packers, with Ryan Fitzgerald knocking through a walk-off field goal as time expired. But if you want drama, nothing topped Jacksonville versus Las Vegas. The Jags' Cam Little drilled a 68-yard field goal to tie it, sending the game to overtime. And then Trevor Lawrence dove in for the winning score, only after the Raiders failed on a 2-point try. On the other end of the spectrum, Pittsburgh's defense came alive, forcing 6 turnovers and racking up 5 sacks to slow down the Colts' juggernaut offense. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold lit up Sunday Night Football. He was perfect in the first half, carving up the Commanders' defense for 4 touchdowns. To wrap it all up, tight finishes, surprise upsets, and a showcase of clutch plays made Week 9 a wild ride. If you like your football with tension, this was your week. From standout quarterback performances to clutch defensive stops and game-changing plays, at Diggin, Deeper, we strive to capture every moment and bring it straight to you, the fans, so no defining play goes unnoticed. From all of us here, thank you for joining me for another broadcast of Diggin, Deeper into the NFL. I am Brian Parsons, your humble host, wishing you all the best. Stay safe, enjoy the games ahead, and God bless